Hello and welcome back to my craft room. Well, I have got an unexpectedly free Sunday afternoon because Tom can't make it over today, so I've decided I'm going to make a start on this month's project from the Craft of the Month box, subscription box from Stitch Kit. It's absolutely beautiful. I will link to the opening video in this, or you can check out my Stitch Kit playlist and see all of the other lovely boxes that I've opened. Let me take you straight to the desk and show you what I got in the box. The box is absolutely huge, so I'm not going to put it under, I'm not going to try and wiggle it under the camera now, but let me show you what we got in it. So this is a new supplier to Stitch Kit, Japan Crafts, and this is one of their patterns for a Natsu Bag kit. Love the look of this, and wait till you see the fabrics that they picked out for me to use. Absolutely gorgeous, and you've got everything you need is in the box. I'll just take it as it comes out of the out of the box. We've got a metre of this lovely, nice quality plain cotton fabric in this gorgeous kind of limey green, which I love and sets off the fancy fabrics really well. We've got some lightweight wadding. Won't be needing that for a bit, so I'm going to put that out of the way. It's gorgeous, gorgeous. Charm pack. So this is an Andover Fabrics 5-inch charm pack. This one's called Autumn Woods. 42 pieces of beautiful pattern fabrics in these lovely autumnal colours. Absolutely gorgeous. Now apparently I'll whiz through these in case you didn't see the opening video. I'll whiz through these as I'm chatting. See if I can speak and do it at the same time. So what the Craft of the Month box comes in at 3 different price points. They're great value anyway, but if you subscribe you save an extra 10%. So the monthly subscription price you can choose from £25, £45 or £65. They've changed the names of the boxes recently. So they're now called Starter Stitches, Signature and Masterpiece, I believe. So it's not just about budget, it's also about how much time you've got as well. Because obviously if you go for the larger box, you're going to get several smaller projects or one big project. And, you know, I think that's a gorgeous idea, especially for a gift for someone. But you might not have time for that every month. That might not suit your pocket, so you can go for one of the other options. They also make every single box up to suit you, so if you do order, make sure you fill in the online questionnaire so they know what colours you like, who you like to craft for, which craft you want to do, and all that kind of thing. So this particular box they have also made available as a one-off box. So as a one-off box, I believe it's $27.75, I think, off the top of my head. I will put a link to their website so you can check it out anyway. And apparently there are going to be 3 different colourways available, so I'm dying to see what the other one is. I think I might order an extra one as a birthday present to put aside for a friend of mine who I think would love it. So I'm going to wait and see what the other colour options are first, see which one I prefer. So normally with the Craft of the Month box you wouldn't necessarily get exactly what I've got because they'll have made your box up to suit you. But if you want to get this Natsu Bag box, you can get it as a one-off and choose which colours you like. As I'm recording this, it hasn't actually gone live yet, so I can't see what the colours are going to be, which is frustrating. I might have a peek in a minute, see if they have done it. Yeah, look at these beautiful fabrics, aren't they fab? Absolutely perfect for this. And apparently Natsu means summer, so this is actually a summer bag, but so it's ideal for like the beach or whatever. It's going to be pretty roomy, but also I think it'd be great for a project bag for any time of the year. Just, you know, pick the colours accordingly. Absolutely gorgeous. So what else did we get? We got some pearly headed pins, coordinating thread for the machine, because I'll do a lot of this on the machine but not all. It's going to be some hand sewing as well. I think you could do it all on the machine if you wanted to. Stitch picker and a pack of millward needles. One of the things you can specify when you're subscribing to the Craft of the Month box is whether or not you want to have the kind of tools and like the hooks and needles and that sort of thing, scissors and what have you. If you've already got loads of that kind of stuff and you'd rather not have more, you can say, give me more fabric or more yarn or whatever it might be, because I've got plenty of needles and things already. I always quite like to think, especially if you're going to give it as a gift, it's nice to know that everything is all in the box. I will also mention, we come up here so I can concentrate, mention that they are now officially able to sell overseas. So before they were just available in the UK. Obviously you're going to have to pay more shipping for overseas, but they're such good value anyway. I'm sure hopefully that will help to offset the cost of the postage. In the UK, all of your post and packing is included in that price, which I think is fab. I always, when I open the boxes, I always have a quick add up. I go online and try and find the same supplies at different places and have a quick add up. I have to take a bit of an average because prices vary, but I have a bit of an add up, and they've always come to way over what you actually pay for the box, even at the one-off price, let alone the subscription price. So this time I'm also going to need my machine. I've got my machine set up over there, and I'm going to need my little craft room iron out as well, so I can press these seams as I'm going along. So shall we make a start? Such a lovely project. Looking forward to a lovely cosy Sunday afternoon. So let's go back to the desk and have a look at our instructions. So begin by arranging the 5-inch squares into 4 groups of 10. This is what I know. I'm going to be faffing doing this. I know it. Can I pull out a little bit there? Yeah, just a bit better. I'm thinking we've got some kind of blues and greens in here, so I need to make sure, and we've got some paler colours, so I need to make sure that each group has got an equal number of each. Well, there's quite a dark one there. Yeah, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's have a bluey green one. Bluey green, paler. Oh, some lovely russety colours in here. Okay, I'm gonna faff around with these patterns and come back in a minute when I've finished dithering. I finished faffing. I've got 4 stacks of 10. I've tried to mix up the colours as best I can and the sort of tonal values. I don't think it's going to matter too much. They're all going to look lovely together no matter what. I've got 2 left over, of course. So then it tells you to put each group into 2 rows of 5 and sew those 5 together into a strip. So for this group of 10, I've split them into these 2 rows of 5, and now I'm going to put them together like this. It doesn't seem to mention a seam allowance, so I'm going to do a standard kind of 1/4 inch seam allowance and assume that will be okay. So yeah, I'll sew this strip, then I need to press all the seams, press the seams open, and then these 2 strips will get stitched together, and I shall repeat that with all of the piles. I'm going to do that, get all these strips sewn together, pressed, then I'll be back. Right, so I've now got 8 strips of 5 like this. I've pressed all the seams flat with my little craft iron, and here's all the others here piled up in pairs, because what I need to do now is stitch pairs of the strips together like this, so they'll end up looking like they do in this diagram. Great thing is, I did it a lot about putting them, what order to put them together in. In the end I thought, whatever I do, they're going to go. That's one of the lovely things about having one of these charm packs, isn't it? Apart from the fact they're all beautifully cut to size for you as well. I think I've made my seams a little bit too wide because I put the wrong edge of the wrong bit of the pinked edge against my guide, so, but it won't matter, it'll just come out a little bit smaller. I don't mind. And had I really thought it through, I probably wouldn't have ended up putting those 2 together, but not going to worry about it. So now I'm going to go through and stitch all of these pairs together along one of the long edges, and then press those seams open as well. And then we're ready for the next step. Okay, I'm on to the next stage. So I've got all of my pairs of strips stitched together. I pressed all the seams open. I've cut some of my metre of plain fabric into 4 pieces the same size. It says 25 by 10, but I think because I did too big of a seam allowance, I adjusted mine. Mine actually ended up 22 by 9 1/4, so I don't know what I've done there. But hey, that's fine. It just turned out a bit smaller overall. And then I've cut 4 pieces of wadding the same size as well. And then you put them together. I'm following what they say here. So I've got the wadding on top, then this fabric piece. If this had a right side, it would be right side up, and then my patched piece is right side down. And so I'm going to do that 4 times, and then I'm going to stitch all the way around, and then clip the corners, leave a little opening at one end, pull the whole lot through. And I'll be doing that 4 times. When I'm just about ready to turn the last one through, I'll come back and show you what I've done. Nothing complicated though, is it? It's really easy, nice and relaxing. Okay, I've come back because this has gone wrong, and I'm looking and looking, and I can't see that I've done it wrong. I can see that I haven't been very accurate with my with my lines. My squares don't match everything's not going to worry about that. In fact, they say don't worry about that. But so here we got wadding, fabric piece right side up, 5-inch square block right side down. So right side down, fabric, well, right or wrong side up, doesn't matter, does it, because it's the same with this one. And then wadding, stitch all around, leave a gap, turn it through. And I got part way in and thought, surely this is going to be wrong, and it is wrong. I think these instructions are wrong, and I'm quite cross about it because that was a bit of a palaver to do. I can't see that I'm doing something wrong there. Arrange it into a sandwich as shown. There's no way that could possibly be right. Okay, well, I've just had a look at a couple of tutorials, but all for great big quilts, and they're not really helping me that much. But they all start stitching with the batting in the centre. One thing I have realised is that the reason they told me to cut the reason why I should have cut the backing fabric and the batting larger than my patchwork piece. It's not just because my patchwork piece had mysteriously turned out smaller. It's because what all the tutorials are telling me is to have it deliberately bigger and not trim the wadding and the backing fabric until after you stitched everything together, which would have made sense. I wish I'd known that. I wish it would have been helpful if they'd have explained that there, actually, because then I'd have thought, if they'd have said this is a little bit larger than your patchwork piece will be, then I'd have known that was right, you know. So luckily we got a stitch unpicker in the kit, so I'm going to laboriously unpick this lot and do it again, and I'll see you in a minute. I'm cross now. I was all relaxed and chilled out when I I'll get there, it'll be fine. Okay, I think I've solved the mystery. So what I've done is I've taken 3 smaller pieces just so I can kind of show, just so I can practice it and also show what I'm doing. And what I've discovered is that where I was looking at that as a diagram, and so I was going, okay, wadding on the top, fabric piece right side up, 5-inch square block right side down. So imagine this is my patchwork piece right side down, and then stitch. That was never going to come out right. It was never going to come out right. But if you don't look on it as a diagram and you just take the pieces in that order, so wadding, fabric piece right side up, assuming that is the right side, 5-inch square block right side down. Now if you stitch around, it's going to make sense. You'll stitch around there, you'll turn it inside out, the wadding will be on the inside. Perfect. I think that is misleading, because I don't think I'm the only person who's going to look at that and think, right, that's a diagram. I want my wadding on the top, then my fabric piece right side up, then my 5-inch square block right side down on the bottom. I don't think that's just me, is it? Also, I've got these pieces bigger deliberately this time, just to demonstrate that yes, that does make sense for them to be a bit bigger than the patchwork piece you're working on, because you don't have to be quite so pernickety accurate. So those are noticeably bigger than this piece. I can just put it in the centre, stitch around there, leave my opening, pull it through, and it'll be fine. I'm going to just quickly do this piece and show you how, and then I'm going to repeat it with those 4 pieces. Okay, so that was a lot easier, having these pieces larger than they needed to be, because I could just follow the seam allowance. I could just line up the edges with my stitch guide and do my seam allowance according to my patchwork piece. And now I can just trim these off, this surplus off of here. I've left a gap there. I hope it's big enough. It's only a little piece. If I'd have followed my common sense instead of slavishly following the instructions and misunderstanding them, I'd have been done. I'd have been done with these large pieces by now and been doing the hand stitching part. But I don't think it's just me being dim. I think those instructions could take some improvement. I think if you did this kind of thing all the time, you'd straight away know what they meant and it wouldn't matter. But if you're a complete beginner, I'm not a total beginner, but I don't do this kind of thing very much. Just trimming all those corners right down. Then you know it is confusing. Okay, hopefully I can now turn this through. So I'm not going to turn it through there. I'm going to turn it through between the 2 fabrics, obviously. And this is what common sense was telling me to do in the first place. It's just so annoying. I'm annoyed with myself. I'm annoyed with the instructions. But we'll get there in the end. It's only been another extra half an hour, so what, really? It's not a big deal, is it? So now, yeah, I've got this lovely little piece, and if it was an important piece I would take the time to turn it all through properly, poke the corners out a bit more, whip stitch that little opening close, possibly top stitch around the edges as well. Maybe I will do the other little, because I've got the other little leftover square, haven't I? Maybe I could make something out of these. It could be a little pouchy thing or something, needlebook, I don't know, something. Yeah, so yeah, it's so easy to do that is confusing. I'm saying no more. I'm going to shut up about it now, crack on and finish the patchwork pieces, and then I will be back. Okay, so just an update part way through. I've got the measure of it now. I've got 3 of my panels done. I'll give them a bit of a careful press in a minute and stitch the openings closed. I could top stitch them, I suppose, but I don't think I'm going to bother. I'd rather do a bit of hand stitching if I was going to do anything like that. Yeah, so definitely putting the materials down in the order listed here, rather than seeing this as a kind of diagram of what you're aiming at, is the way to go. So wadding, yes, that's down. Fabric piece right side up, yes. Square block right side down, yes. And definitely leaving the wadding and backing fabrics bigger than your patchworked piece, so that you can then just trim them once you've stitched around. Would be way easier. But too late, I've already cut them to the same size, so but I'm managing. It's near enough. I'm managing to do it. So I'm just going to leave an opening about that big, stitch it round, trim the corners, and then turn it through. So I thought I'd just show you one properly now, sort of. Here we go. So of course, because of the palaver earlier on, I've just run out of thread and had to re-thread. Wouldn't have had to otherwise, it would have been just about right. So now I'm just snipping off each of the corners like this, trimming the excess away. I've only got one pin left. They're all over by the machine. Okay, and then so I've got this opening at one end, so I'm going to go in here between the two layers of fabric and turn it all through. Just trying to poke those corners out. It's so easy when you do it right. Well, hopefully I might save a few other people making the same mistake I did. Yeah, so I'll probably, before I stitch the opening closed, I'll just maybe get my turning thing and just pop those corners out a little bit more, give it a bit of a press, and stitch the opening closed there, the little ladder stitch or over stitch or something. And then when I've got all four of those ready and done, it's a shame I cut that near to the selvage when I didn't need to, then it's time to put them all together. And the leftover, I've still got about half the plain fabric left, but that's to make the straps with. Right, so I've given all of my pieces a press now, and I'm just gonna turn where I left my gap to turn through. I've just pressed the edges in, and I'm just going to do a little, I think probably a ladder stitch or an over stitch will do. Let's go ladder stitch. I've put myself a knot on the end, and I'm just going to put the end on the inside. I think that'll work. So to do a ladder stitch, I've come out here. I'm going to go in one half along take a little stitch along, come out there, still on the same side, and now I'm going to go straight across to the other side and take another little stitch along. Straight across again, back to the other side. Again, so you can see, once you pull it tight, you can't really see that stitch, it just looks like a continuation of this machine stitching. So I'm going to close all of the gaps on all four pieces, and then I'm ready to put these together. You can see that my squares are completely out of sync there. I'm not going to worry about that. We don't mind the wonk. Embrace the wonk. Okay, I'll carry on with these, and then I'll be back when I'm ready to put these pieces together. That's the exciting part, really. We're looking to see how this assembly is going to work. Right, I haven't really got space on my desk to lay this up properly and show you, but essentially what I'm aiming at is this layout. So here's my four pieces all laid out like that, and now what you have to do is whip stitch down here the length of these two squares, there, and there. I think what I'll do is, so I'll use the coordinating thread that they provided. I'll whip stitch here, and then what I'm thinking is I'll probably turn over and whip stitch the other side as well for double strength, and because I think it will look neater. And they tell you to do a couple of extra stitches in the centre to give it extra strength as well. So I'm going to hand stitch all that. I guess if you wanted to, though, if you prefer to use the machine, you could zigzag these together, I guess. I like a bit of hand stitching. I'm going to, do a bit of catch-up video watching and just enjoy a bit of quiet hand stitching. They provided all the needles and the thread and everything, so yeah, that's what I'm going to do. But I guess if you really prefer to machine stitch and want to get it done quicker, you could carefully hold those edges together and zigzag them, I'm thinking. I don't know, would that be strong enough? Yeah, probably. And probably would look quite nice as well. Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna just do a little whip stitch. Right, so I think what I'll do is start from the centre, because these aren't going to line up perfectly. So if I line that up there, I'm going to end up with a gap here in the centre. So I'm going to start from the centre. I think it's probably more sensible. Let's just lose my thread on the inside. Make myself a little anchoring stitch. And that little knot there. Because knowing me, the way I use project bags, I'll end up cramming quite a lot in here. I've just made a little stupid loop now. Okay, so I've got my little anchoring stitch, and now I'm just going to whip stitch these together. I need to make this reasonably neat because this bit will show. I quite like the look of a little whip stitch. I think it adds a nice detail. So I'm going to try and keep my distance between my stitches as even as I can, because that'll make the angle consistent and it'll just look nicer. So a ladder stitch would be more invisible here, but it wouldn't be strong enough. Yeah, so my stitching will show, but it's in a way that I quite like. And it'll get neater once I've got it under my nose. As always, I know it sounds like an excuse, but it's true. If you've ever tried it, you'll know what I mean. Stitching at arm's length and trying to hold things up under a camera is not the best way to be neat. I guess if I wanted to, I could do this in a coordinating or contrasting embroidery floss. Make it deliberately a decorative stitch, you know. It could be quite fun. So I'm going to keep on whip stitching these two together, and then what I'll do after that is turn over and whip stitch in I'll find some green thread. I think probably you're meant to kind of whip stitch through all the thicknesses together, but I think that would look a bit clumsy. I prefer to do it this way, so that's what I'm choosing to do, but you do it however you like doing it, I suppose, you know. As I say, it would look quite nice to use a coordinating thread and make it deliberately do a great big kind of whip stitch. I might even decide to do that as well, who knows. So I'm going to keep doing this with all of these bits, and then I'll be back when it's time to bring up the sides, and then I'll get that shape of the bag, which is what I'm really looking forward to here. Right, so I've had a quiet couple of hours sitting here stitching. I've whip stitched everything together. So I've got the sort of cross shape now, and I turned over and used the coordinating thread to whip stitch the other side as well. I prefer to do it that way rather than do it all in one go. I just found that sort of easier and neater for me. So now we've got this thing where the idea is that you stitch these two edges together, so that's 3 squares, 3 squares. You stitch those together. So I buried all the pins down. I also that little practice piece that I did earlier on, I just did some stitching around it. I think I've got some heavier weight coordinating thread. There's a 12 weight. I've just did some canter stitching across here in a bit, and I put a little bit of measuring tape on there, and I will just use that as a nice place to keep my pins. So these are the pins I got in this kit, but I mean, I could use it as a little needle holder, pin holder. to go in my project bag. And if I put a button somewhere, I could button it on there too, couldn't I? I did think it would be quite fun to put a little button in the middle, because I had put the extra strengthening stitches in the centre as they suggested, but I did think it might be that a button in the middle would look quite cute. I could put a button on either side that would reinforce the centre, and then I could, one on the outside, one on the inside, and then I could button this on. Be quite cute, wouldn't it? Anyway, so all the pins, as I threw them off, all attached themselves to the nearest needle holder. Look at this, it's like a hedgehog of pins. There's only one left in the case that came in the kit. Anyway, so I've left that needle attached there, that thread attached there, because I thought I might as well use it. So if I understand right, here's my arrangement, my sort of cross shape. So now I'm going to put these edges together. I've got to stitch along 3 squares. When you look at it there, you've got 3 squares joining the 3 of those squares. And that'll leave just that bit, won't it? I'm intrigued to know how this construction is going to come together. Just making sure that looks right. Yeah, so you've got 3 and then that leaves 2 squares there. Okay, yep. Three. Get there with that on there. And then the next 3. Along there. Of course, now I've finished making this project, or nearly finished making this project. I can, of course, there's no reason why I can't make the bag again, just use the instructions again. Now I know how they work. With other scraps of fabric or whole pieces. I mean, you wouldn't have to do it with scraps, would you? You could just use strips, put 4 different colour strips together, not necessarily patchwork strips. You know, when we ended up making the four sections like this one, mine turned out 9 1/4 by 22 or something. You could just have whole pieces of fabric in those sizes, put 4 of them together with wadding and the backing, and then arrange them into this shape and do this, wouldn't have to be patchworked, that's what I'm saying. Okay, and then there's the last set of 3, so they're going to close up with this one. Well, I'm going to pin this, and then we'll see how this bag is looking. Okay. I'm going to have to come up to here and show you. Once I've stitched all along them neatly, where do then there's the straps. So I've got that. It's up there in the box. I've got the leftover piece of that green fabric. I'm going to tear that into 4 equal strips. Cut the remaining fabric into 4 long strips. Fold each strip in half lengthwise and press. Make a crease down the length of the strip. Unfold, press each side into the centre. We follow that. Repeat for each strip. Fold in the short edges and press. Then place 2 strips back to back, pin and sew all the way around the strips, and 2 strips back to back. I'm not following that at the moment. Hopefully I'll follow that as we go along. But I'm assuming that will attach the end of a strap to each of the points here. It's like a 4-petaled flower. You can get some idea of what it's going to look like if I hold it like that. So yeah, I've now got the relaxing job of whip stitching the insides and outsides of each of these seams. I like that it doesn't all have to be done with machine, because you know I make myself use a machine these days, but I actually always prefer to be hand stitching, so this is a bit of both, isn't it? Right, so I'm going to do that. It's now almost time to make dinner, so I'm going to disappear and I'll probably come back in. It'll be the morning now when I come back and finish this off, but it's actually still 2 days before the box is actually available, so I feel like I'm quite ahead of myself actually. Okay, watch this space, I'll be back. I'll show a bit of the making of the straps. I'm sure I will work that out. It'll seem obvious once I get in there. So shig. Okay, now I've read the instructions again. It does make perfect sense. So I've torn my remaining fabric into, I just tore it because it's easy. I haven't got room to spread out in here to cut a straight line. So I tore it into 4 long lengths, and this will be the final length of the handle, which is plenty long enough. What I'm going to do now is fold it in half and press to make a crease down the middle. Well, it's just to make a crease in the middle, then you fold the edges towards the centre. So like this all the way along, and then you turn the edges, the short edges, in as well. You do that with all 4 pieces. Go, turn the short edge on this one as well. So you do that with all 4 pieces, and then you take the 2 pairs, and imagine this is instead of being opposite ends of one strip, imagine this is 2 of the strips. You put them together back to back, meaning this is the back, that's the front, this is the back. You put them together like that and stitch them together all the way around, close to the edge all together. Or I guess I could still just sit and hand whip stitch it if I wanted to, like that. Top stitch it close all the way around, and then this will be stitched onto my bag there, like that. It'll be stitched there, and on its opposite number I'll do that twice, and then I've got my 2 handles. Yeah, it's really easy once I've read the instructions properly. Right, so I'm going to carry on. I need to repeat that with all 4 strips, and then I can top stitch them together. I've got enough thread left, plenty enough thread left to do that. Probably to wind a bit more into my bobbin, but yeah, I should have plenty. Do that little bit of hand stitching, stitch the handles on. I might make myself another one of these, or put a little pocket on the back. I think that would be quite cute, and maybe that button in the centre, because I just quite like the idea of that. Okay, and then it'll be done. I'll come back and show you how it looks. Well, it's actually the day after our Saturday night in monthly live stream. I ended up having to cancel Whip and Waffle Wednesday for this week just gone, because I've had all sorts of things going on, which I won't bore you with, but yeah, too much going on. So I sat and did some work on my Natsu bag during the Saturday live stream last night, and I've just finished it off this morning, and I've got a little extra to show you as well. So let's go to the desk. I'm filled to bits with it. I may as well, if I hold this up now, here's the finished bag. It's very, very roomy. Hang on. Filled to bits with it. I really, really love it. It's such a good size. I love that it opens right up like that. I actually think it, it looks quite nice as well. I'd quite happily wear it if I was out as well, Ideal for the kind of thing that I'll be doing this weekend, where I need a nice big roomy bag to take my projects in. Absolutely thrilled to bits with it. I've made some little changes to make it mine, which I can't remember if I've gone into in the earlier part of this video because it's ages ago now. So let's go to the desk and I'll show you what I've done. So the idea was that you would fix the straps on the outside of the bag, just with a little rectangle of machine stitching to make it super strong. But I decided I'd put it inside. I quite liked the look of these triangles, these squares rather coming up to a point like this. So I've actually stitched mine on the back. I've just hand stitched them on the back like that, and then I've put I found 4 different buttons that pick out the colours in the fabrics I've used, and stitch them on. And I think that's just a really nice sort of point of difference to make it mine, really. And the other difference with the straps, I think I've mentioned already, is that I was going to just cover them with rows and rows of straight stitching, kind of counter stitching, rather than just top stitch with the machine, which was a lot quicker. But I love doing this kind of stitching. I find it very relaxing, and I like the feel of it, I like the look of it. I just thought, seeing as the straps are plain, I thought it gives it a little bit of interest as well. I mean, you could also vary up. You could put a bit of embroidery up here. You could add a little ribbon trim or something if you wanted to. You could do anything really. Bit of contrasting blanket stitch on the edges, anything you like. So yeah, it opens up really big and roomy. You can see how much space I like that it opens right up like that. Got some loose bits of thread there. I did think about putting another button on the bottom actually, just in that centre point to strengthen it, but probably don't really need to. Yeah. Very chuffed with this. I also don't know if I knew what the other colourways were going to be in the earlier part of this video. So they're both lovely. I can't decide. I want to get one of these kits to keep aside for a friend for next year, but I can't decide which one to go for. There's one called Sewing Bee, which is lovely soft teals and kind of duck egg blue kind of shades. Beautiful pack. And the other one, is it called Fairy Garden or something? You'll see if you go to the website. It's a print. It's like a little ditzy print, but and all of the squares are that same print, but in lots of different rainbow colours, and it's absolutely gorgeous as well. So yeah, really hard to choose. Apparently they've still got plenty of the charm packs left. They're getting a bit low on these instructions, but yeah. So if you want to order one, be quick. But yeah, chuffed a bit with this, and now I've got my head around the instructions, I will definitely give this another go as well. I don't think I'd even know. I've done it once, I wouldn't need the instructions again. The other thing was that I think I'd already shown you that I'd made this little piece, partly to show how I should have done the quilt sandwich, and partly because I thought it's nice to make something useful out of these last 2 leftover squares. So I think I've already shown putting this little loop of tape and making this little square that I thought would make a nice little pin holder or whatever. And then I still had that one more charm square left, so I've turned it into this cute little heart-shaped. This is a heart-shaped Suffolk Puff or yo-yo, and a lovely Cass, my dear friend Cass of Lovecraft with Cass, made a video especially for me showing how to do these Suffolk Puffs in a heart shape without having to buy a special gadget or anything. So basically you end up making yourself a template. Yeah, really enjoyed that. I will link to Cass in the description box so you can find that video, or I'll try and link to the actual video. So I thought I can use that as a pin cushion. So I've still got all of these pins left from the kit. I can put some more pins in there, and I've still got all of these needles left, so yeah, I could put a few extra needles here, and that can go in my bag. And I did think I could, I've still got some more buttons. I could put a button somewhere else inside here, possibly in that middle one, so that I can, probably have to be the smaller one, so I could button this onto the side. I think that could be really cute. Or maybe I could just button it onto one of the buttons was a little bit smaller. But yeah, I could sew a button anywhere on the outside or inside, and then loop it. Or you could put keys or little charms or whatever onto there. I think that'd be really quite a fun idea as well. So it's nice to put your own spin on these projects, isn't it? But what a fabulous project this has been. I've really enjoyed it. Super duper box. I can't believe that I've had that this box would only cost 25 quid. I've had so much fun with it, and I've now got a bag that I will use and use and use for many years to come. Absolutely chuffed to bits with it. Yeah, I think you can tell. And I can't believe that this video will go out less than a week after the box went live, and only about a week since I received it. I just yeah even despite my mistakes, and even despite I've had so much stuff going on. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much to Kirsty and Rachel from Stitch Kit for sending me that box. It's beautiful. Do check out their website. You can remember that you can get this bag as a one-off kit, or you can save extra money by subscribing. And if you do subscribe, remember to fill in that questionnaire so that they can make your boxes up especially to suit your preferences. I don't know any other company that's doing that at all. So that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much indeed for watching. And if you've had this kit or another subscription box from Stitch Kit this month, please do keep sharing your pictures, because I love to have a snout at what everybody else has got and what you've done with it. Okay, thanks very much again. I'm going to stop waffling now, and I will see you again really soon. Bye.